Paul, what do you think British Baywatch would be like? I'm choking on me pasty! Some people stand in the darkness.
Never mind, we'll save you. Ow, 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 ow. Because it's rocks. It's pebbles, you see, on the beach, not sand.
The fuck out the way, child! Some kid playing on the pebbly
Backhanding
beach.
children every which way.
As several large men run towards the situation.
Fat Les's Vindaloo Club. In charge of the Blackpool Pier. Oh, quick, penny machines dropped on child.
No, wait, Sandra's coming on donkey.
She's with thermos at tea. It's not how you're talking Blackpool.
Oh, fuck.
It is now.
Paul, give us your best Blackpool.
Blackpool. Welcome.
Is it near...
Blackpool?
It's
What was
like
that?
it's the death metal equivalent of Liverpool. Right. What is the nearest cliched city that we have stereotypes about? I demand to know. Oh, is it near Newcastle? Warm up your Newcastle just in case. Hang on.
Oh, Christ.
Do you know what? It's about equidistant from Liverpool and Manchester.
Oh, thank Christ. Hey.
Newcastle is so fucking far away, man. I don't know this country at all. I have so little information about how this country's made up. It's frankly astonishing.
Do you know when the Brexit vote was happening and UKIP and other parties were releasing genuine adverts saying, the people in the south who are going out and voting today, don't let them win?
Maybe they should have, yeah. Maybe that was...
It's people like you they were voting against, Paul.
Here's a question. Where does the north start, do you think? Because being a Londoner is just about St Albans.
The old saying is, anything past the Watford Gap. I mean, you can see it, that the greys of London become a different kind of grey, and that's when you know that you're properly north.
Yeah, the grey of London is all the buildings, but when it starts travelling north, it's actually all the people pressed together. It's giving it its overwhelming grey.
It's the people and the meat they eat.
That they leave in the fields. So Cambridge is very much the last outpost before you hit the wilderness. Yeah,
it's where Rebus lives.
Fending off the darkness of Peterborough. The first awful place that you can reach.
I have two very good friends from Peterborough. Scum. Absolute scum.
Hang on a minute. Watford Gap is north of Northampton, mate. We're not having that down south. Not having that as part of the south.
I mean, that about fits, though, because I'm a northerner to southerners. I'm a southerner to northerners.
Oh, man.
I've always got, like, inflections or bits in my accent that both sides of the country can find hilarious. Like, the word hilarious in the north wouldn't go down too well. Every time I say London, though, everyone's just amazed at the U that I managed to sneak into that word. Oh, what a laugh.
You're a man without a country.
That's why I'm in Australia.
It's the best place for you. Hello and welcome to One Good Thing, the podcast that is always beach body ready, and that we look like bodies that have washed up on the beach. I'm Paul the Thunderclap Salt.
I'm not made for critics.
And today we shall be discussing the remake we were all waiting for, Baywatch! Some people stand in the darkness.
Our team is the elite of the elite. We're the heart and soul of this very beach. Come on, Pete, make my pecs a little bigger. And don't cover up my front bump.
You got it. Huge dick.
Big dick.
Directed by Seth Gordon, who previously directed One Better Thing, King of Kong.
Ooh.
Yeah, before moving into comedies, directing Identity Thief and Horrible Bosses, and producing Pixels, which was the thing that King of Kong was the better of. So we didn't know that.
What a strange mixed bag there. Because Horrible Bosses is pretty good as well.
Oh, I haven't seen it.
It was surprising. It was a surprising good. I'm not vomiting continuously. It's quite good.
I mean, that's what I was expecting, and I was actually keeping a copy of it as an emergency in case I ever consumed anything particularly toxic.
It needed an emetic.
Exactly. The screenplay was by writer duo Mark Swift and Damian Shannon, who also wrote Freddy vs. Jason and Friday the 13th, the remake.
Great.
So we shall be checking in with them next year.
Thank fuck. I was wondering what those two were up to.
Those crazy cats!
Oh.
Well, this is what they were up to. This is their sheened, polished, late career. And we're going to go deep diving into their horrible Jason Voorhees-related past later on.
Baywatch is the diving board. And we will leap Statham-like into an Olympic pool of their careers.
Some people stand in the darkness like me. That was Jason? Famous non-speaking Jason?
Hello!
Hello! I'm Jason Voorhees. The film was received by critics like a remake of Baywatch.
Oh.
Peter fucking Travers at the Rolling Stone,
Oh, Christ.
in a somewhat positive review, I think, says, think of yourself sitting down for a big 2-hour wallow in instant stupid with a vat of popcorn slathered in fake butter and possibly a mound of melted M&Ms on top. It feels great chugging it down, then your stomach hurts, your head aches, and you puke the whole thing up so you can forget about it in the morning. That's Baywatch in a nutshell. I feel defiled. I feel that Peter Travers has done me a great disservice.
Whereas I feel tattooed by and have a new respect in Peter Travers. I feel marked but blessed.
That was an expertly conjured, disgusting image. That was like Bret Easton Ellis.
I mean, I've read quite a lot of Bret Easton Ellis, and I tell you what, fuck Bret Easton Ellis.
Hamster up the cheesy anus has got nothing on this.
Hand inside a young prostitute, clenching and unclenching. Move aside, sir.
Peter fucking Travers is here with his tiny feet. He's got tiny feet and a big imagination. He's gonna blow you away with both.
And he has an eating problem.
Melted M&Ms, I think, is the thing. I just imagine it as like a brick of M&Ms, just sagging and leaking on top of this vat of buttery popcorn. I want to die.
It's that the review was bookended by instant stupid, then the concept of throwing up a meal to forget about it.
That's what I do. God, that wasn't very nice. I'd like to not be thinking about that meal anymore. Let's reintroduce it to the room. That'll help it slip from the mind.
And then it becomes all of yours.
I feel like this should be everybody's problem. A meal shared, it has 17% on Rotten Tomatoes and 37% on Metacritic. But that doesn't bother Dwayne the Stone Johnson, though. He tweeted, the film was made for the fans. Yeah, and they loved it. Give it 5.6 on IMDb and 55 on Rotten Tomatoes. Loved it. Anya Abby Nader on Google said, I really am quite easily pleased with movies and TV shows. I don't break my head over small details or illogical storylines. Hell, I even enjoyed the last 2 final episodes of Game of Thrones. Fuck!
Jesus. Get
wow! Imagine that, human. So, that being said, I did enjoy watching the movie while solving some Sudoku puzzles on my sofa. But I'm also glad I didn't pay money to watch it at the movies when it came out. You've got to keep your brain stimulated, or you are just you're gonna slip into a coma watching this. There has to be something.
I feel like she shouldn't have stopped doing Sudoku to write that review. She needed to keep her brain sharp the whole time.
She might have slipped away during that review, unfortunately.
It was beginning, yeah. If you'd have seen it on paper, it'd have been like the Guy Fawkes confession.
Making its third appearance in this podcast, the Guy Fawkes confessionary signature.
I don't remember. To me, it's all fresh and new.
I perceive time simultaneously. This is the first, second, and third time I've made that joke.
Perfect.
Also the fourth and fifth. Shane Riversback at Google says on Google, I tend to ride on my own when it comes to opinion on films. To be honest, I don't care what others tend to think. Yeah, it's one of those things, the more often you say it, the less true it seems. I love to lone wolf it. Anyways, Baywatch, in my opinion, was a great time. Please agree with this opinion. Please, please, please. Lone wolf.
Like and retweet.
Shane Riversback.
Shame.
I don't care what any of you think, but please read this and acknowledge me.
I reckon if this would have been on paper, it would have looked a lot like Martin Luther King's sophomore appearance at Yale.
Yeah, because it's
good.
Nope. It's tough to yes and when you've got Nothing. Nothing in the sack. It's a bit like the way particle physics impacted on the late Renaissance era. Yes, and...
Yes, and I agree with you. And yes.
The film did, however, make a bunch of money.
Yeah.
So there's a sequel in the works.
Good stuff.
Enjoyably, the film was scheduled for release on a certain date and was pushed back a week to avoid Alien Covenant, then had to move back forwards a day in order to avoid competing with Pirates of the Caribbean Salazar's Revenge. What a summer!
Titans will clash.
I wish they'd all gone out on the same day. Oh, what should I spend my money on?
A gun.
A raunchy, horrific sex situation with some comedic elements? Or Baywatch or Pirates of the Caribbean? In terms of three-man, it is strike 2 for Zac Efron. But thanks to his appearance in Sharknado 3 and 4, David Hasselhoff is a three-man. Daisy Hasselhoff for you.
Ah, shit. In the bin, David Hasselhoff.
Oh, free to a man, free in the bush, free, yo. Film's a shit, mate.
We also have Inder Kumar, who is an employee of the club in this, was also in Mother's Day as bar patron, uncredited, and Batsby Soups as Wayne financial employee, uncredited. He was also uncredited in this. So he's a mysterious man who looks good in a suit.
Yeah, one enigmatic loser.
What an enigmatic blob. Now, I originally got very excited because Pamela Anderson appeared as a three-man in the database. She was credited for Showgirls and Superhero Movie. But it turns out there are 2 Pamela Andersons.
Oh, no.
One was in Baywatch and Superhero Movie, so she's a two-man. The other was in Showgirls as the party singer, and then nothing else we're likely to review, so she's been removed.
Oh,
Get out of here!
fake
You get
Pamela.
Pamela Andersons sneaking in.
We want to
Their
insult.
ways.
We want to insult the real Pamela Anderson in front of everyone.
The real, probably harmless Pamela Anderson.
We're gonna do barbed wire at some point, I imagine.
Probably.
Actually, was that badly reviewed? I just assumed it was
Christ.
because it was old.
I just assumed it was because fucking think about it. Okay, here, barbed wire, also known as barbed wire, occasionally corrupted as bobbed wire or bob wire, is a type of steel fencing wire constructed with sharp edges or points.
Oh, we're on to you, Anderson.
Here's hoping that the imposter Pamela Anderson doesn't at some point show up in a Neil Breen movie, because I have removed it from the database, so we will miss it if she does.
I do want to just make sure you are ready for the fallout if the non-good Pamela Anderson, the non-famous, the nothing Pamela Anderson does make an appearance again, and you're going to have to issue a correction to say, I'm actually scum. I'm sorry.
Here's the thing. I am scum. I'm willing to concede that now. But Showgirls was her last credit. So unless it's a very late break, there's every chance that being that close to Elizabeth Berkley completely fucked up her mind, and she just wandered out into the Las Vegas desert, where we know the Breen dreams. So there's every chance he'll pick her up and stick her in a movie.
Holy fuck. Maybe she is Neil Breen.
Oh god, maybe that's it.
It's just a genesis.
She counted Elizabeth Berkley and Gina Gershon. And
ate them both.
Carl McLachlan. It was a trifecta. It was a perfect storm. She got in between them. And she got scrambled and sent back into the past, where she wandered into the desert and grew up into a crazy old man.
She walked into the spectrum. Don't do that.
Don't walk into the infinitizer. Poor Pamela Anderson 2. / Neil Breen 1. Maybe she is the same as Pamela Anderson 1 then. In which case she is a three-man. It's like Primer.
Oh, shit. In the bin, Pamela Anderson, probably.
Oh, free to a man, free in the bush, free.
It's insulting.
Nominated for a couple of Golden Raspberries, but lost most of them to the Emoji Movie. Lots to feel good about there. Oh, Christ. So, Paul, you disgusting early noughties boy band.
Dude.
What's something about Baywatch 2017 that made you want to jack off on my sheets?
Well, I don't need any excuse to do that. just seeing is enough. But, when I watched this little doozy on Netflix, Paul, do you know what came up when I searched for Baywatch? Do you know what came up next to Baywatch?
What was that?
Dirty Grandpa, Paul. Do you remember how we said we were going to watch that at some point?
Oh.
Yeah.
Do now.
Do now. We've got to make Zachy a three-man.
Oh, we've got to make Zayfron a three-fron.
And Robert De Niro a two-man?
I guess so.
Yeah.
What was the other?
one of the days.
That's right. He was a dead man in one of the days.
Dead fuck. Yeah.
He was a living corpse in a day movie. God almighty. This here Baywatch begins with 2 Chinese production logos.
Yes,
which
it does.
makes me feel good. I remember reading an article saying that because Americans are now pandering to Chinese audiences, the dialogue has gotten really bad, exposition has become really boring and repetitive, and everything's become really simplified. And I just couldn't help but think, that just sounds like Hollywood.
Yeah.
How things have changed since The Conqueror.
Yeah, I think bad workman, mate. No.
Blame their tools. The tools being the Chinese film industry.
Absolute tools. It for a film that does have the backing of 2 separate Chinese production companies. A lot of penises in this.
You wouldn't think they'd like that sort of thing. They love penises, Paul. Love them, especially on the kids.
The one thing. The one stipulation. It's like, yeah, I guess we can do that. Chinese production companies. If it honours your families, anyway.
It definitely will. Thank you. Thank you, The Rock. Speaking of whom, he is charmingly ungracefully diving into the sea in his first scene on the beach. We get an opening shot of the credits, and he sort of waddles to the edge of the pier that he's on, and then kind of just falls off. He's a big man.
He's a big man, and
hard to be graceful.
He's been on a lot of steroids for a long time. It doesn't make you the best swimmer, that kind of physique.
Trust me, fellas.
Well, I was also a terrible swimmer, but because of opposite reasons. And there was always the kind of big kids in swimming class who were just gliding through the water like fishes, like fish.
Yeah.
And it was me and The Rock sitting at the side of the swimming pool, just being like, "Do you like pogs?"
The Rock hilariously jogs very short distances between scenes
through exposition.
Yes, as we meet a couple of the new characters. We've got a cop who doesn't think much of him and his position. Correctly so.
We all empathise.
We all empathise. We've got a young, awkward kid who's got a crush on the Pamela Anderson replacement. CJ, I think her name is. That's the only name I remember because I remember initials well enough.
The kid was called Ronnie.
Kids are called Ronnie, that's good. The credit produced by Eli Roth comes up, and I get excited.
Oh boy.
Never mind that, it's time for Zac Efron, Zayfron himself. He's introduced and framed by butts and starts harassing a woman almost immediately.
Hey, I'm Matt Brody.
And not a single fuck was given.
I had to make the note here, this is a sweary old film.
It is, yeah. Maybe the unrated, they took it all out.
It's like The Wicker Man. In the unrated cut, it's much shorter, by popular demand. There is some fucking wild continuity between reverse shot of Zacron. I'm going to come up with new names for him pretty much every 5 seconds. Of Zacron meeting The Rock. Zorkdork. Zorkdork meets The Rock, and he gets a bit of a hard time.
He just wants to be the beach hero.
Yeah.
Rock's just not about beach hero.
No.
He's about beach heroes.
He is. And he's going to demonstrate how many early noughties boy bands he remembers.
Yeah.
Hey, new kids on the block, Backstreet Boys, One Direction, NSYNC, Hot Wheels, Malibu Ken. What is this?
Zac Efron basically is a disgraced diver because you can be such a thing.
Disgraced swimmer?
Oh yeah, he's a swimmer.
I imagine he does have to dive into the pool before he swims, to be fair to you.
He doesn't just manifest there.
He's an Olympic swimmer. He's very, very good.
Yeah.
But he did a puke when he was doing the relay with his team.
Yes, because he's not a team player. He's a team puker.
Exactly.
He's a shitter, and so that's why he's here on Awful Place. Because the people who run this Baywatch want to get a star hitter in to publicize the people who save you when you're drowning.
I mean, there's more. Paul, you're setting people up for a pretty gnarly twist later on.
Oh!
So
that
buckle
peaked out
up.
my audio. I hope you enjoyed it.
Buckle up and fuckle up. So while Paul's sorting out his headphones, which have burst along with his eardrums. Well, there are tryouts on the beach.
Before tryouts, man. Before that.
Oh,
Yo, it's time for the CPR scene.
Oh, I don't even remember that.
Do you not, mate? Well, let me just colour it in for you.
All right.
A young boy starts to choke on a thing he's eaten. It's Ronnie, the aforementioned.
Oh, it's Ronnie. Of course, it's Ronnie.
And CJ's going to come over and wiggle her butt in front of the camera in slow motion as she dislodges the chip. He gets an erection from having the breasts put up against his back.
Quite an erection.
Quite a hefty erection.
It is an impressive one.
It is going to be tumescent enough to be stronger than 2 planks of wood. He's gonna be... Because he dives onto a lawn chair.
To hide his shame. His cock and balls go perpendicular to his body. It's really unsettling.
It's awful. And he becomes trapped in the aforementioned beach thing.
It's gonna be okay. I've been through it too.
Not a big deal.
Really? Yeah, absolutely. I was stuck in a woman for hours once. Couldn't get out.
Totally the same. Yeah.
It's the same thing. Stuck junk is stuck junk.
Stuck junk is stuck junk.
Okay. All right, buddy. We're gonna have to flash freeze your Johnson.
Wait, no, it's okay. I got it. Look, it's okay.
Oh my god.
No, I'm still stuck.
Yeah.
And everyone has to assemble. The Avengers have to assemble to free Ronnie from the fucking beach chair his Stiffy's gotten stuck in.
Destroy the Tesseract.
By which we mean get this boy's cock out of the bench.
Very fortunate epithet. And eventually he gets out. I think he just jumps and breaks the bench. And I'm sure his massive balls and penis play some part in this. But everyone's pretty cool. Everyone's pretty cool about it. Everyone's like, it's just another cock at the beach.
We love a cock at the beach. Again, the Chinese censors insisted on this scene here. At this point, I make the note that this movie has a lot of bouncing, soft cleavage for the lads and some thick veins for the ladies. That's what they love.
They love it. Yeah, and unfortunately, there's equal opportunity to ogle the men and women, but the men are shown doing athletic stuff. Lifting tires and arm wrestling and playing basketball. The woman, well, look, one of them Heimlichs Ronnie
run.
and gives him a hard on, so that's pretty cool. That's pretty strong.
That's pretty warrior.
So now it's tryouts because The Rock does not care whether Jonah's brother, number one, has it in him to be an ultimate beach boy. He has to do tryouts with everybody. So they do tryouts and Zac Efron doesn't do tryouts. And Ronnie's got heart. The woman who played The Rock's daughter in San Andreas, she's got a lot of spunk. And I forget the rest of what happens.
Well, he does say to him, look, if you beat me on the course, I will let you on the team and I'll stop being an absolute dick to you for very little reason. Zaystew, looking exactly like a Ken doll, agrees
That's
to
the competition.
He doesn't manage to beat The Rock, but he doesn't manage to stop The Rock. He can't stop The Rock. Consequently,
I hate you.
But he is let into the team. But he's not the only person trying to stop The Rock. There's also a lady, an Indian lady, whose name we learned some moments ago, but has slipped from my mind altogether.
Yeah, is it? Nope. It's gone.
It's fucking gone. So
Leeds,
we'll
I
just
think
call
is
her
her surname. Victoria.
Victoria. That's it. There's
Thank
Victoria.
God for that.
And she says, here in America, everything is fair. Because, the casting of this movie really demonstrates the meritocracy at work. Anyone can be in this. You've just got to be stacked as fuck. You've got to have great big bouncing boobs, and that goes for men and women.
Ronnie's a tech guy. He may have an enormous penis, but that only helps with buoyancy, right? You can stay afloat, but you can't drag screaming, thrashing women and children to shore with a cock.
They could grab hold of your cock and you could lead them to the shore. Like a dolphin. Because dolphins do that. I don't know if you've seen it.
Relax, the dolphin's coming to save you. No.
Right, the plot is a fucking madhouse, so I'm just gonna jump about the place if that's okay.
Please.
Well, basically, someone gets murdered. There's a boat fire, and Victoria has killed someone on the boat fire.
Senator What's-His-Face.
Yeah, some women are saved. The body gets washed up on the beach, and the police come, and The Rock shows up and is like, right, what's going on here with this case? You have no jurisdiction, says the main characters, but also me, to the screen. There is no fucking way you have any right to be here right now. Literally, your job is to save people from drowning. You need to leave. Immediately. You're not even the Coast Guard.
Sorry, says The Rock, I couldn't hear you. Your tongue is very, very far into your cheek at this stage. Oh, is it enough? We'll see.
This still irritated me. I don't care how much of a parody or a spoof movie. Do you know what? If this is a spoof movie, just don't mention it. Don't mention the fact that he has absolutely no fucking authority. Just have him do cool stuff. I'm sure this didn't come up in Baywatch 80s.
Well, it's a new time, Paul. It's a new cynical time. We've got to know that things don't work. Otherwise, how can we have fun?
They sneak into Victoria's club.
Yeah.
In order to find out more information about her and her evil deeds.
Zac Efron is selfish as fuck at this stage.
Oh, yeah, he's a bad guy. He's a bad dude.
Yeah, he's not the bad guy, but he's a bad guy.
He's a bad man.
Yeah.
And he gets into a fight with The Rock. And The Rock
Loses
says,
immediately.
you're too selfish. And he kind of gets him to fall into the pool. And he throws up in the pool. And everyone makes fun of him. And he just shouts, "Let's do some shots!" And everyone's fine with that.
People love it. They're the bad
They do
people
love
as well,
shots.
Paul.
That's the thing, is in my life experience, people seem to love shots. I don't drink alcohol, so I don't know much about this. But it makes me wonder what other situations might be remedied by just screaming the words, "Let's do some shots."
Well, I think, the human tendency to compare yourself to others, it goes both ways. Like you compare yourself to people who are doing better than you, and you also compare yourself to people who are doing way worse than you. So when somebody comes in and says, "Hey, I'm way more of a pathetic alcoholic than you are," you go, "Fantastic. Let's encourage him to continue being terrible. We can all just enjoy this fantasy for a bit longer that none of us have a problem."
So the effect of shouting, "Let's do some shots," is very much the case of, "I don't care about my health." And everyone can be like, "Oh, thank God."
That's exactly it. And people might disagree, but they're wrong.
I do wonder about those situations, though. Mr. Salt, you have been sentenced to death for the heinous crime of murder. Let's do some shots? Okay.
Woo! You're still going to jail. But he's a hero.
Not tonight!
Dun, 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 I got a feeling.
Fucking hate that song.
I feel like that song is so wrapped up in the spirit of this film that none of your reactions to this film or that song surprise me anymore.
They never actually play the Black Eyed Peas' "I've Got a Feeling," or whatever the fuck it's called, in the film.
Yeah.
But it's
They
very
do.
much the theme. They do. They've sewn it into the script.
The physical embodiment of it into the script, physically, with actual cotton.
Anyway, they all break into a morgue and play with a dead man's cock.
Fantastic.
Fantastic. The Rock takes some pictures of Zayfron dealing with the cock and says, I'm going to post these later. I feel like posting those is going to reflect worse on you than anyone else.
Well,
With this dead man's penis
in
being handled
in the
by
world
your
of
mate.
shots, Baywatch, I don't know.
There's a fight that breaks out and eventually ends up in a nursery of a stranger's home. Honey, some large men are fighting in the nursery. Should we do something? I'd best leave them to it, love.
I mean, would you? You're like, come on, everyone, this is getting a bit much. Let's tone it down,
Yes,
eh?
I'd give them a proper British talking to, which would very much just be, "Could you come out of there, please?
Look, this isn't on.
Look, if you're going to fight, could you do it somewhere else, please?" Really entitled white guy shouting.
Ooh, trying to get two big men out of his house fighting. How entitled. Don't shame me, The Rock.
That's the privilege. Okay.
That's white
people...
white privilege. When people say, yeah, okay, what the fuck is white privilege? You just say that.
It's that. It's the expectation that just because that you don't deserve to have two men fighting in your nursery. Some families have that every day. The Rock likes going around fighting in people's nurseries. Oh yeah,
Stupid.
they're spying on a fucking boat that belonging to Victoria. And they're looking at it and it's like, "Oh, looks fine to me. Look closer." And they zoom in like slightly and see the obvious illegal activity going on the back of this boat facing them.
There's a man in a prison costume, black and white stripes, handing a big bag that says drugs over to a man that says with a sign saying, "I love drugs."
With his shirt wearing that. A shirt and a sign. He just wants the world to know. They do the same scene again. They get into costumes and sneak into somewhere only to get kicked out in an action sequence. It's ridiculous.
And then finally, the Rock gets fired, right? Because
Yes, he gets fired.
This is actually illegal. All the stuff that he's doing. He's not a cop.
Yeah.
And so they fire him, and they make Zac Efron the manager or the lieutenant or whatever the fuck they're still calling themselves. And there's a bit of fractured group
Argy-bargy.
feelings going on, and it's fine now.
Yeah. Well, luckily, in scenes not depicted in the film, he grew closer to the rest of the people and learned from The Rock. So he's able to get the evidence, and he gets The Rock back on board by... Well, no, he goes to break onto Victoria's boat, where there's going to be some sort of climactic action going on. They radio for The Rock, and he comes after a talking to by David Hasselhoff. And it all goes a certain way. Ronnie does something, and he's therefore paid off, and all the characters get to beat up at least a person.
Yeah,
and
like Ronnie's a good tech guy. He embraces who he is, and doesn't have to be a fit, strong Baywatch boy. He's a tech guy with a massive cock, and
it always helps.
Yeah, It's great, and it can bend any which way. It's very utilitarian. And
you can spin it round with nuts and all. And fly with it like a rotor.
It's a less disturbing Inspector Gadget. And
because it doesn't involve Matthew
and,
Broderick. That's the only reason it's less disturbing, but it is a substantial effect.
and after all that, Zac Efron gets put in a cage and dumped in the water. Oh no, but The Rock's here.
Yay!
He was obviously still listening to his police thing.
Yeah, he rescues him. Then they end up in an exact same situation where he's at gunpoint and The Rock has to save him again.
But Ronnie saves the day because of his fireworks.
Yes, there's a long fucking speech that the woman gives with them at gunpoint, at which point I write the note, just shoot either one of them, for the love of God.
One of you die at the other one's hand.
It feels so awkward and uncomfortable to have this character just keeping them at gunpoint for so long without doing anything. It just feels dumb. But anyway.
She'd never done anything before. She had to rely on her 2 men to do all the killing, and this is the first time she'd ever had to do it. Probably.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Rock does another sort of prolonging speech to give them extra time for the fireworks to load. The fireworks blow this woman up to pieces.
Yeah, they fucking explode her into, like, lumps of flesh. It's great.
I mean, they are 4th of July fireworks, mate, so...
They literally...
Are you saying that America's not free?
They're actually mildly atomic. Back at the shore, Zac Efron is able to impress some women with some violence. And Pamela Anderson shows up and everyone runs away. And that's pretty much the end of the movie.
Everyone running away forever.
Running away from Pamela Anderson. And fucking Butler Alfred is back there as well. You know, Butler Alfred.
Butler Alfred. Yeah, big fan.
So, Paul...
Yes.
What did you make of Baywatch?
Look, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. I'll say that.
There was respite for me.
Yeah.
There were moments in this that were exactly as bad as I feared it was going to be.
Yeah.
But there weren't as many of them, and there were long periods where it's okay. I'm very curious why Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, who seems to be a very charismatic and nice person, keeps taking on roles where he plays a dick that conforms to the ways in which a man who looks like him would be expected to act. In other words, emasculating other smaller people around him. And the joke is, he's so big. He did it a lot in Rampage.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen it.
And Skyscraper.
I
don't know why. Actually, no, Skyscraper, he's got a bit more going on. He seems like such a nice person. Why does he always play, like, the head clique in a gang of people? And this is a movie trope that I've become very aware of lately, where the troopers just... Probably thanks to The Rock. I mean, he is somewhat conspicuous. When a 6'5" wide man is sort of involved in something, it does draw attention to it. But like where the clique is just like, newcomer, you're a dick, I hate you. You're one of us now. Have you been nice to me at any stage? Nope, but you're in. And now you be a dick to the next newcomer. It's very Fast and Furious. That's family. Have you ever said a nice thing to each other?
In that way, it's accurate.
If any of you ever asked me how my fucking day has been...
I mean, the Rock films that I've seen, it feels tongue-in-cheek and very knowing that he's playing this kind of character, and I feel like it's something that the entire audience buys into as well. I can't speak for Rampage and Skyscraper. Do
you know what? I think you might be right. I think the idea is meant to be... Imagine if he was like this in real life, but I'm just getting a bit weary of it, because it's a lot. Yeah. It's a lot of his movies.
I mean... It happens to a lot of people, right? I'm like Jim Carrey played the same character pretty much in every single film he was in. The difference was that was really funny and great when it at the time. And good. But then eventually he did Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. He tried with a number 23 and everybody went, "Oh, don't do that." But then he did Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind and everyone went, "What range?" And I'm hoping that one day The Rock will get his Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, by which I don't mean his memory erased. I mean he'll get a very good film opportunity where people will go, he does other things. This would be great. Because it is painful just to see him be in, if not shit, then just underwhelming movies over and over again.
Yeah. I am worried that the thing about Jim Carrey that worries me is that number 23 was quite a bit later. It was about 3 years after Eternal Sunshine. But the worry is that he did his Eternal Sunshine. He was like, oh, people like me when I do this. Well then. And then number 23, Kick-Ass 2. It's all very much a slippery slope down to the gullet of a whale.
Look, I enjoyed him in Kick-Ass 2, if not the person that he became during.
Yeah, that's true, actually. I liked him in Kick-Ass too. But it could happen to Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. One minute he does a Michel Gondry film, and the next thing he's like, oh, I need to be dark and edgy. And he's in the number 24, the sequel.
I think I'd still like to see it.
I'd like to see a haunted Dwayne Johnson. That does sound interesting, actually.
Or maybe maybe he has tried out for different films and he doesn't get the parts because he doesn't have the range. That could also be a problem.
He tried to be the lead in Mindhunter, but David Fincher said no.
Not yet, Dwayne.
It's not the vibe we're going after. Yeah, maybe when he's really old, he'll do some Clint Eastwood style.
I was gonna, like The Unforgiven.
Miserable old man. Yeah, he's
About
gonna do his
wrestling.
Unforgiven. I don't know. He's a big personality and he's a big man. And there is something interesting about watching him. It's just, I am finding it's getting the act. And I've seen the trailer for Hobbs and Shaw, and it doesn't really look like... I will say that it did work in Jumanji, because he wasn't playing into it. Everyone around him was telling him he was big and great, but he himself was just like acting like a scared little kid, and I think that's what did it for me.
It's interesting that Jumanji is giving him the most scope for expressing himself in expressing his range, but...
Take it where it comes.
I
haven't seen Fighting with My Family yet, in which I'm...
No, I really need to see that.
I think he has a little more than a cameo. I think it's a recurring sort of thing.
Is he playing The Rock, though?
He's playing himself.
Because it's about China, right?
It's about Paige.
Paige, yeah. He's very likable, and to be fair, a lot of what I enjoyed about this movie came from The Rock.
Right.
I found... I think there were some really good jokes in there that really made me laugh. There was great comedic timing a lot of the time.
Yeah.
But anytime there's action... It's really defanged and really boring, and it's the same when you come to like Pineapple Express, which actually wasn't very funny either. But with all these movies, you can have a really good time with the characters and the jokes, and then as soon as it becomes no more comedy time, we've got to do the plot action time. It's just really poorly directed, really boring action and plot. And
I agree. I really didn't have any interest in the action or in the sort of intrigue that was being unveiled in terms of the plot. I will say it's got a nice spirit. I think it's got a high energy sort of summer's day niceness to it, I guess.
Yeah.
But at its worst, when, that sort of character bonding through ribbing and insulting and, constant mockery of each other for any little shortcoming. And, Ronnie gets it pretty rough during this, as does Zayfron for various other reasons. And combined with the sort of gratuitous shots of pretty much everyone and the color palette and everything else, what it reminded me of was like Bad Boys 2 if you took out the action set pieces. And just imagine that as a concept. Bad Boys 2 without the action set pieces. Just Martin Lawrence and fucking Will Smith joshing about, doing their business with the cipher from The Matrix. Imagine 90 minutes of that, and you're getting a bit close to how I felt at times during Baywatch. But, really, in terms of jokes that worked for me, I think I've got them as quick fires. There's a handful.
Yeah, I've got a fairly long list of jokes that work for me, actually. I've got to say, the film for me went like this. The first 5 minutes I found unbearably obnoxious, and I thought, fuck me, if this film is going to continue to be like this, with just shitty hip-hop backing tracks, and people just people running around, then this is not going to do it for me at all. But then it became palatable and funny, and then it became dull. And I was on board with a lot of the characters, and I enjoyed what little character all of them had. I found the women really charming, and I found
some of them were non-existent though. Like his deputy Stephanie, she got almost nothing in this movie. And also Alexandra Daddario's character, whose name is Bubbles or something.
Oh god, I don't know. Well, the one that Zac Efron likes.
Yes, his love interest. She, again, just nothing for her, really. Eventually she hits someone with a fire extinguisher.
Yeah.
She was in True Detective.
I feel like even the Rock and Zac Efron's characters are barely better fleshed out than them, but it's just they got more screen time. Yeah. And it's just... I feel like it's just more like bad acting, because I still feel like I had a good sense of their characters. CJ as well, especially. I really liked her. She was a really good counterpoint to Ronnie. I feel like calling someone a counterpoint in Baywatch is just very generous, but it's I felt like a lot of the character pairings worked, and I just think bad writing for characters and bad plotting and things like that.
It just wasn't interested. It was first and foremost a comedy, and it was just one that I found fairly obnoxious is the thing. But I suppose see why people who like this style of comedy would be high-fiving each other in the sequence in which a guy gets his erection stuck in a bench.
I was high-fiving myself in that scene. I will say that as it's Baywatch, and you kind of know what you're getting yourself into, and everything is very much worn on their sleeve. Better to have everything, like, you know, attractive women running in slow motion, cocks and muscles and all this. It's way more preferable for me than the insidious stuff that would happen in your Fast and Furiouses and Transformers, and to get like Megan Fox I fucked on a motorbike in one of the opening scenes in Transformers and stuff like that.
So
At least
because
it's open.
because you've made it the point of the thing, it kind of forgives it or takes the sin off it. I don't know. I just feel like this isn't a project that really needed to be done. The same as any of these other somewhat shit TV remakes, like Chips.
I mean, there is so much out there that didn't need to be done, yes, and I like to think that most of the time when we're talking about films, that's just a given. It's on this podcast, but but it didn't need to be done. It was there, and it didn't feel mean spirited, and it didn't, like, the ogling didn't feel.
As mentioned, I did find some of it somewhat mean spirited. I just find it weird the way in which they keep challenging each other over certain things and never actually seem to bond or get on.
I feel there's a difference when something like that is very much not realistic. Everything is quite heightened. It just didn't. None of the mean spiritedness there really hit me.
Yeah,
it is all part of the joke. It's all one big goddamn joke.
You either laugh at it or you become part of it.
Or you become the comedian and you really, really take it out in Nam.
Oh, fuck me. I'm going to have such a time when I get out there. All right, let's quickfire. Quickfire. Okay, I quite liked it when CJ came up to Ronnie and just really casually asked,
Hey, how's your dick?
It's great timing.
It was good timing. It was good bluntness. It's a nice sound to that sentence.
When The Rock was running through his exposition and he sees that kid on the beach playing with that baggie, with that crack, he does a very convincing fucking Jesus.
Waka, Jesus.
when he sees his kid playing with drugs. It was that's Mitch, man. I think. I didn't watch Baywatch when it was a thing.
That was when he encapsulated Mitch. I can't imagine Hasselhoff giving a genuine, oh fuck, that kid's got crack look.
I'd rather watch a film with The Rock in. I've never got the whole, oh, David Hasselhoff's in this, amazing, like, trope.
Well, that's just what the...
Fucking, I'm done with David Hasselhoff.
That's the generation above us who say that. The next generation after us will have no idea what the fucking Dwayne The Rock Johnson fad was all about. Every generation has a large man.
You telling me that iGen are not going to be and not into Dwayne The Rock Johnson?
No, they're going to be all about...
You're telling me that today's 18-year-olds are not into Dwayne The Rock Johnson?
They're all about the fucking Aquaman guy.
Who was also in Baywatch, I saw.
Really?
In the 80s. Yeah.
Oh!
Playing a buff 7-year-old. No, he's about... He's 15 or 16 or something and the size of 7 me's.
Bench pressed Yasmin Bleef. Fuck me, okay. Sticking with CJ, I really liked her absentee dad speech.
In a grueling obstacle course we like to call the absentee father. He's tough, brutal even. His presence in your life is brief, but it will scar you and instill a toughness in you that will carry you through birthdays, Christmases, and even bring your dad to school day when your mom has to put on a fake mustache just so you can fit in with the other kids.
The notion of it, the performance of it, was quite funny.
I really like Hannibal Buress. We haven't mentioned him yet.
Who's that?
And he was Ronnie's tech friend who gets killed halfway through the movie.
Oh yeah, is he the one who at the very beginning is like hanging out with him and making fun of him for how poorly he's able to communicate with CJ?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
That was amazing to watch. She came up to you, she was very nice and warm, and you handled it really smoothly.
Really?
Fuck no, that was awkward. It was horrible.
Fuck.
Did you have a stroke? It felt like you had a stroke.
Got it.
I am a big... I really like Hannibal Buress' delivery. And I've seen him in a few things now. He was in Tag. He's really funny in that. And he was also in... Was he the sports coach in Spider-Man Homecoming? When they're in detention and he puts on that video of Captain America. And he's like, I don't know, I'm pretty sure he's a war criminal now. Yeah, same guy. He's very, very like dry, flat delivery, and it works every time.
Let's have some action that works. Zayfron. He rides a bike up some wooden steps, first of all. Pretty cool. Pretty dynamic. Gets up those wooden steps on a bike. And then we have a single shot following him down the pier, avoiding some people, and then diving into the water as the bike smashes into the barrier.
That was
One
good.
long shot. It's good stuff.
I enjoyed Ronnie in general. I thought he was really good. And when he's just getting more unintelligible when CJ comes over, it's very overtly horrible.
Say something.
I feel like this is your year.
No, stop that.
and embarrassing. But it's I really love the depth to which he pushes it, of just when people are standing next to him just trying to follow what's going on.
Zayfron, in a line of his, he says that he's stargazing.
You know, stargazing?
Under a pier?
Yeah, that way.
Like indicating he was looking at the stars over there, and his
right.
delivery on over there is really
cool.
good.
I've written down summer swimsuits, so I guess I just fucking like that. It's good. Women were
Great.
sexy. Women were really sexy, Paul. And
They were. And men were vascular.
they were vascular.
God almighty.
So look at all those choked veins.
Just gotta get that blood through the body. There's so much body they've got to get blood through. They've got to be working overtime.
Got no space between muscle and skin to get any of this blood through, because the veins are right on the surface of the skin, ladies and gentlemen at home. That's what I learned from Baywatch.
I've got to say, I found it. There's something just quite unerotic about this for me. I had trouble. I know there was a lot of bouncing boobs around and butts and stuff that I was meant to enjoy, but I don't know. I just found it gross, and that Michael Bay kind of. I think it's the color palette that just put me off.
Rainn Wilson with sweat dripping off his face.
Yeah, I was thinking too much about Rick Mayall's forehead.
I've got to say, it's not the slow motion jiggling butts and boobs that I found sexy. It was just the sight of the women in the swimsuits, just standing there. It was very overt. Everything was very overt in this film, and sometimes overt works.
Yeah, I guess.
Agree to disagree.
It's like Brazzers. It's the Brazzers approach to eroticism, whereas I'm more of a...
Golly, what are they doing? Hang on.
I'm more of an Abby Winters kind of guy. There's a place for it. Every so often, you've just got to watch someone with implants bigger than their head doing wonderful things with a cock the size of an arm.
Trying desperately to hold on to each other with a foot of grease between them.
Oh, fuck. We lost another one out the window. Who left the fucking window open again?
In Brazzersville. Come on.
It's just a pile of women outside that window.
Greasily writhing on top of each other.
Oh. The concept of Little Mitch is lifted somewhat from Moana, but it's still an entertainingly surreal element. That inside the Rock's aquarium, there's a tiny version of him that changes position.
Yeah.
It's an odd little thing, but I quite like it. It's silly.
Yeah.
I like silly. There's not much silliness in this.
When Ronnie has his engorged penis stuck in that bench, and the Rock says, "Don't worry, buddy, I've been here before." And he goes, "Really?" He's like, "Yeah, absolutely. I was stuck in a woman for hours." It's just disgusting. I really liked it. Oh God.
Okay, this is dumb. This is really fucking dumb.
Excellent.
But when Ronnie does his sort of provocative, sexually aggressive dancing,
yeah,
he is asked by CJ, "Where did you learn to dance like that?" And he responds, "Hebrew school."
Yeah.
And it's good delay. It's a good concept.
Stupid.
I liked it. Very dumb.
Great. He's certainly giving his all in that dance. Props for that.
Yeah, it was a committed performance.
Yeah. Always a fan of somebody trying.
It's probably the most dynamic action sequence in the film.
Twice as good as the motorbike dive.
Twice as good as Jackie Chan's most provocative dance.
It looked very satisfying when Zac Efron slapped The Rock, patronisingly. Because he slaps him softly, and The Rock's face doesn't move an inch. And it just...
Oh, yeah.
It looked like, I'd love to do that, actually. Not for any ill will that I have towards The Rock, but fuck, that looks great.
When The Rock pushes Zayfron into the pool at the party, he just gives him a bit of a push, and as he's falling, he just says,
"Whoa! Shit, didn't touch you, you dick."
Yeah.
Then falls in, and that was good delivery.
Is it because he's mostly flinching from the threat of The Rock pushing him?
Yes.
And he's like,
yeah, exactly.
"You made me do that, you dick." Yeah.
And the fact that he's sort of so calmly able to express that whilst falling into a pool, was good.
The scene where Zac Efron can't stop looking at Daddario's boobs, and she makes a thing of it. And she's like, "Lady did it again and again. What's wrong with you?" And then she starts just drawing attention to it to shame him. And as she walks off, he goes, "Well,
it's a compliment if you think about it, sorry."
And then it just cuts to the next scene.
It's
really good timing on that line.
His sort of lame excuse getting cut off.
Yeah.
Oh, that's it. It's another Zayfron line. He's got good delivery. He Dwayne The Rock Johnson says something like, "Just get us to the morgue." And Zayfron approaches a sign and says,
"Oh no!" What does that say? Morgue. Exactly.
It was such a petty and childish
Yeah.
thing to do, and I really bought into him sort of going, "Oh no."
Yeah, I like that bit. That was good.
Very childish. It was fun.
When they're in the morgue and they're hiding in like the drawers when the two henchmen come out. and
Very
they're looking
Bad
for
Boys
them.
2.
Okay. Haven't seen it. Probably not ever going to.
That
but,
scene happens in that movie, except Martin Lawrence hides
okay.
on top of a dead naked woman who has big boobs.
Oh, what? Get out of town! Get out of my town.
Fuck off! Out of the town.
But there's a really good dynamic between the three of them, and they're trying to be quiet, and there's just a really good 1, 2, and I guess 3 back and forth between them. And again, Zac Efron, really great physical comedy when he's trying to be still with the dissolving fat of somebody dripping on his face. I really enjoyed it. I think it was very well done.
In that case, I highly recommend Bad Boys 2.
Martin Lawrence, definitely not good physical comedy. We will get onto Big Mama's House at some point.
My next one involves the word lifeguard being said menacingly, which I enjoyed. I think it's one of the goons sort of recognizes one of the guards, and it's just like, lifeguard.
And then speaking of that, then, I really enjoyed when the lifeguards were really shitly explaining how they got evidence and then lost it, and how great they did because of that. When they're trying to justify themselves to the policeman and to Mitch's boss, they keep explaining how they got evidence and then lost it, and then they got other evidence and then they broke the phone. And they're like, so you've got nothing. And they're like, exactly! And,
like it proves how the bad guys are real.
yeah.
See, there are
That's
bad
good.
guys because they destroyed all the evidence of bad guys. That proves it. I'll say that Zayfron looks quite good in drag. Well, it suited him.
He looked on point. He looked like that mate. He looked pretty fucking exquisite.
Yeah, with that nice hair. They chose good hair for him. Like shoulder length, tight, kind of. Yeah.
Like suits the chin and
Yeah.
like his physique in a dress as well. Like,
He looks.
dresses are just good. I really like Ronnie's line, "Fuck you, Dave, you're my worst friend." The delivery as he's sort of going off
I like
into the
that
distance.
delivery. I like that delivery you've just done. That was good.
"Fuck you, Dave, you're my worst friend." Classic. What a genius. You're like Rafe Spall.
Rafe Spall. Wow.
I actually love Rafe Spall. He's very good. Don't know why I did that.
Oh yeah, the head lifeguard guy, sort of lifeguard boss, he does this high five with Zayfron in order to communicate to everyone else that he's managed to corrupt the Zayfron.
Yeah.
And as he does this sort of elaborate high five maneuver, without us really seeing it, we just hear him say,
I fucked it up.
Yeah. I liked what opportunities that character had to go from tough to embarrassing in an instant.
Yeah.
When he goes over to The Rock and he goes, "Turn in your trunks, Mitch," and The Rock does that little like
asserts his manliness.
pretend start on him. Yeah. He takes a step back and goes
I'm gonna go.
in the same like deadpan
Yeah.
before hurriedly making an escape.
Yeah.
Really good delivery from that guy. He's very, very good at a quick turn.
Oh fuck, when Hasselhoff shows up, the Baywatch theme plays.
Mind if I cut in for a second? What are you doing here?
I'm here to remind you who you are. Come on, buddy. Snap out of it.
That was like a breath of fresh air for me. A lot of the soundtracks of this movie is sort of dubstep or really heavy sort of electronic, sort of party music. Just that good old fresh 80s, possibly 90s, optimistic, light shit rock. Oh man, it was lovely. It only lasts for about 5 seconds, but it really put me in a time and place that I wanted to be in instead of this.
Complete opposite effect on me.
Hey man.
I went, oh,
Jesus.
great, it's David Hasselhoff and 80s rock, yay.
Remember Gigli?
I mean, I remember Gigli.
You remember Gigli? Remember how, what's his name, is obsessed with the Baywatch?
Yeah.
Presumably he's watching some on the television. Maybe some with Pamela Anderson in it. Freeman.
Oh shit, in the bin.
Oh, free to a man, free in the bush, free, yo. Films are shit, mate.
Get in that bin. Rightfully this time. You can let not Pamela Anderson out. She can leave the amalgamation and rejoin Neil Breen.
Neil Breen, the Neil Breen cult.
Although she
the
was.
death cult.
I can't follow her own law, man. I'm gonna have to check the wiki. The one good licky wiki.
Fuck off, Wikipedia. You've been our undoing, Ricky.
For the last time.
Richardpedia.
I do need you to follow these movies, though. I can't go back to paying attention. It's been too long.
How do you how we're like soap stars at this point. When people come up and they're like, "Actually, mate, I think it's fucking awful what you did to Barbara." You what?
We filmed that in June.
It was 7 weeks. That was 7 weeks ago. That's 49 episodes, mate.
Since then, we've had kids.
Holding on. And then I pushed them down the stairs. Soaps.
Everybody's a monster.
When Ronnie's in the co-ed showers and it transpires that you're supposed to use them in your swim gear, not just butt naked with your big old, not yet engorged, once engorged but not yet again engorged penis flapping around. When everybody leaves the room again, he just kind of, he turns around and fingers and gropes the pole and just very barely musters a, "Oh God, why me?" And it's just another bit of fantastic physical comedy and delivery from this guy. I don't even know Ronnie's real name, and I feel sad now because he's one of my favourites in the entire thing.
Oh well, let's look into it. David Walliams. Jesus.
And David Hasselhoff. I was so wrong about him.
They played it together, alternating words. It was a nightmare.
They tag teamed John Bass or John Bass, depending on how you pronounce that.
Ah, we're all about the bass.
It's Johnny B with the bass, dropping the bass. Oh, do you reckon that was all of his dubstep music in this film?
Dropping the bass.
And then it's just very quiet sounds of a fish.
The wet slapping sounds of
opening and closing its mouth.
Pick it up, put it back in the sea.
It's not yours, motherfucker.
Responsible fishing, y'all.
Me next one, I love The Rock's tech talk when he's selling that phone. When he's just muttering tech talk.
Oh, shame.
I imagine The Rock would give a TED talk if asked about
great.
Just being positive and never giving up. And not necessarily saying no to steroids, because if it helps your self-image, then great.
Hey, who's the judge?
Who cares if you're going to get atherosclerosis?
I'll get worse for eating that second pizza of the week.
These are my steroids. But no, he's giving a lot of tech talk when he's selling this phone, and it's just absolute mumbo jumbo.
Yes.
And he does it with a practiced ease that I admired.
Good stuff.
My last one is when they're diving around the underside of the boat looking for drugs. It's covered in barnacles. Nature's gross. The ocean's the worst.
I hate it.
I
don't want to.
Sitting there and think about life just attached to it, glommed on.
Ugh. Gross.
Ugh.
Now imagine him attached to Zayfron's mighty pecs. God,
he's only down there for a minute, but a minute longer, he'd be barnacled.
Barnacled, mate. God, it's an image worthy of Peter Travers. My last good thing is when Zay Stew is drowning. It's quite peaceful. It's a peaceful moment.
Right.
He's down there in his cage and the light's pouring in, and when the woman shows up, even before then, is really the thing. It's just, I don't know, it's like a weird moment of him like accepting his own failure and death as part of this team. It was a weirdly profound moment, I found. And it was without dialogue, which was great because I fucking hated all the dialogue in this movie. And on that note,
the bits we just mentioned.
even the ones I said I liked. I don't.
Especially those.
I hate those. I hate those for...
Just said it to fit in.
I hate those for being exceptional. Being exceptions to the rules of how awful it is. It makes me... each one is like a knife in my fucking heart. Speaking of which, let's talk about the one team.
The one team. The one quick team. the BBC One show team. Adrian Childs wrote in to say...
Says, please stop using my likeness to sell inexpensive electronical equipment. To which I say, electronical's not a fucking word, Adrian. Got a lot growing up to do.
You absolute fucking clown. You stupid clown.
Stupid Charles child.
Well, we got Chris at Revisited, who said, "What? No, I love Baywatch." Probably not in this voice. I thought it was really funny. I mean, it's stupid and I can't remember much, but it made me laugh. And it didn't take itself seriously at all. It's a big, dumb, funny film with hot people in it and boners stuck in desk chairs, so it's also relatable. Chris.
Gotta get away from those desk chairs, man.
Wish I'd read that before. Fantastic.
Yeah, I think it's just... I know the idea is that it's meant to be dumb, but people offer similar defenses of Transformers. I know we've spoken about the difference here, that this is more tongue-in-cheek and that it's sold as being this, and so you've only really yourself to blame for showing up. I don't know, there's just a charm I feel was absent for me. But who would like this movie? People who did.
Yeah. You go into it and you know it's dumb, but it works for you, then it works for you.
Yeah.
Like it works for me a whole lot better than Transformers did, and I know both are meant to be dumb, so there are shades.
There are shades. Shades of grey. this time next year. Anyone else?
No, that's it. Thanks, OGT.
Thanks, OGT. Okay.
Great.
Do we have any other segments? Oh, the one better thing. Who could forget?
Awesome. Oh, who could forget? Us.
The one better thing. I'll talk about mine first because I'm not that. It's not great. It's not. I didn't feel like I had to go out of my way to find something better than this movie, as I didn't enjoy it very much. But I landed on 2016's Central Intelligence.
Ah.
A film I had no interest in seeing. It's got Wayne the Rock Johnson and Evan the Hart. It's got Kevin Hart and Dwayne the Rock Johnson, and it just really, neither of those things are that much of a sell to get me into a movie. And it looked like a zany comedy, dick jokes galore. But Mark Kermode gave it a good review, which got me curious, so I bought a copy of it, and just a short 2 years later, I actually watched it. I do believe it was in the flat the entire time you lived there and went unwatched for that entire time.
Did you get there before you got around to your Kurosawa collection?
Just about. But yeah, it was about a year ago that I actually finally watched this fucking thing, and I was surprised. I was surprised at how much I liked it. It's about a guy, he hasn't seen his mate in years, and when he shows up, he's it's not quite clear what he is. Perhaps he's an ex-spy with a dangerous life, or perhaps he's a criminal who's conning everyone. The friend is Kevin Hart, the main character, and Dwayne The Rock Johnson is the mysterious spy/criminal. And it works for me much better because, first of all, The Rock isn't, in this case, playing into the whole, manly man, best person ever, isn't it hilarious how over-the-top heroic he is. He's once again playing a somewhat damaged character who is unsure of himself and somewhat modest. That's what I wanted. What's some modesty is the thing. And also, he might be insane, which is an appealing angle. You never know. There's actually a genuine guessing thing in this, in which you don't know if he's telling the truth or not until the sort of end of the movie, and there's something appealing about that.
Cool.
And Kevin Hart, has some funny moments. He can be funny now and then, as well as fairly obnoxious. Yeah, it just worked quite well. Slightly better thing.
Great. Love it. So I sort of, when I was watching this, I thought, this feels like it's pitched somewhere between 21 Jump Street and classic Point Break. Yeah, 21, 22 Jump Street, I think. It's another modernising of an 80s TV show. The tongue's firmly in cheek, but you got a better sense of which cheek exactly the tongue is in. In Baywatch, is it a butt cheek? I'm not going to stand for that. So I think this is a really good comparison, which 21, 22 Jump Street, the product of Lord and Miller's continuing success in repackaging 80s things into very charming modern equivalents.
Yeah.
It's Channing Tatum and Jonah Hill, a very likeable, well-cast lead pair. The comedy really, really works, but there's fun action and stakeout scenes on top of this. It does have both. So well done there, and continually funny. Even when they start to get so meta that all they're doing is referring to it itself, it still works.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why Lord and Miller just seem able to tap into what makes these old shows and products relevant now. It's just, it's either that or they're just fluking it every single time, but it works.
I think they just think about it, but also...
Oh!
Yeah, which is far more than anyone who did in Baywatch, but they also they make the relevance or irrelevance of the thing the focus of the movie.
Yeah.
They make it the point. So, to some extent this did, by making the sort of absolute nonsense of the lifeguard, of the Baywatch having any kind of responsibility here being... They kind of made it at the point, but you know what? The big difference for me between the Lord and Miller movies and this is that the Lord and Miller movies were funny. I found them funny. There were jokes that were good and performances that were great. And again, I don't want to be down on the cast in this because I think the cast are okay. But that was, for all is said and done, for all the silliness or not silliness, I just didn't enjoy Baywatch because I didn't find it funny. It's a comedy movie. I think that really is it. That's all, really.
There we go. That's the two Pauls. Two Pauls' opinions put into one pie.
Watch the better things instead.
Yeah. Ba-bow.
Ba-bow. The one better thing. thank you very much. How can people find out about One Good Thing?
They can do so on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at ogtpod. You can send us an email at gmail@ogtpod@gmail.com. If you want to like us, rate us, or just tell a friend about us, go on, do it. We're on iTunes, we're on YouTube, Stitcher, Podbean, some other ones. We're inside that ball that you're looking inside your dreams every other night when you've had a particularly stressful day at work. We're in there. We might be talking about showgirls again, but it's always hot shit.
Get in there
and
get a piece of it.
Get right in there. And yeah.
He just dropped his mic. It's a very expensive mic. He really shouldn't be doing that.
Sometimes you just got to make an exit and then come back to talk about the exit.
And then just drop the mic, but then quickly bow down, pick it up, and spend several minutes on stage trying to put it back together. whilst hopefully, if you've done it right, your opponent will still be reeling from your last epic rhyme.
Feels like the James Acaster approach.
It's actually more galling, the fact that you've got time to come back and put the fucking thing back together and leave carefully with your mic whilst the audience is still booing and hissing you. It's a real power play. Only the best rappers are capable of it.
And I'm neither of those words. So what am I doing with that skill?
Best or a rapper. Oh dear.
But I want to be. And maybe next week I will be. Let's see.
I'm Paul Mad Doggy but Salt.
I'm Paul Better Than Ice Cube.
And remember, the one good thing about the Baywatch is the way that Zac Efron sometimes looked like he could just